found research that shows that however you define power, women look at it and say, no thanks. The cost of getting it is too high. The compromises we have to make in the rest of our lives are just overwhelming if we want to get to those higher positions of power. And actually, when we see power in action, when we look at people who have power, we frankly find it pretty unappealing. There's a lot of egos jostling. There's a lot of mansplaining that goes on at the top. There's a lot of behavior that I think often women find not particularly motivating for them. And so we look at the cost of getting there, we look at what it looks like when you have it, and it's kind of a turnoff, which perhaps is not surprising because power structures have been built by and for men over the centuries, and they weren't molded by us. But we also know from our research that when you do have women in positions of power, organizations perform better. And that there is just so much evidence for this now. Dozens of international studies, one recently from the International Monetary Fund, that showed that organizations with more women in positions of leadership are outperforming their competitors by every measure of profitability. So we kind of wanted to put those two problems together. We need more women in positions of power, but women don't want power. How can we solve this problem? And what we found over the course of writing this book is that it's not really that you need to change women. Women are exercising power already in many ways. We are getting things done. We juggle all of the myriad bits of our lives. We are achieving very well at work. What really needs a rethink is power itself, how we define it, how we wield it, how we use it, how we let people get it, what the paths to getting it are. And our conclusion was that if you could do that, if you could kind of reconceptualize power and the roots to power, actually everybody would be better off. You would end up with power structures that were more effective. And so the subtitle of our book, I think, is important. It tells a lot about the book, and we spent almost as long on the subtitle as the book as we did on the title of the book. It's The Power Code: More Joy, Less Ego, Maximum Impact for Women and Everyone. And I think that really tells the story of this book, that there can be joy to be had in power. And I think we have to try and overcome women's reticence about power by pointing out what you can do with power. Think of power as something that can be effective in meeting your goals, what it can do for your community, what it can do for your organization. If we think of the why of power, of having power to achieve things, I think suddenly power becomes a more appealing prospect to women rather than just power over somebody for the sake of having power. Less ego, because I think it doesn't need to be about ego. It can be about work environments do better when people focus on the work itself and the results, not just the egos involved. And maximum impact, because this is really a way of thinking about power that produces results that are good for organizations.